The metallic tang of rust and despair was a familiar scent to Kaelin. It clung to the air in this forgotten corner of the old world, a ghost of a time when cities stretched to the sky and humanity believed itself invincible. Now, the sky was a permanent bruise of industrial smog, and invincibility was a long-forgotten fairy tale. Kaelin, a man whose face was a testament to every hard choice and every lost battle, knelt beside a workbench littered with forgotten tools. His fingers, calloused and quick, moved over the cool steel of his rifle. His eyes, the color of storm clouds, narrowed as he flipped open the magazine. Empty. A hollow click echoed in the dusty silence of the old garage, a sound that spoke volumes of their current predicament. Beside him, perched with an unnerving grace on the edge of the workbench, sat Silica. Her synthetic skin, a pale, almost ethereal blue, glowed softly in the dim light filtering through the grime-caked windows. Her form was a masterpiece of advanced robotics, sleek and powerful, yet designed with an almost unsettling aesthetic beauty. Her eyes, two luminous pools of sapphire, held an unsettling calm, a stark contrast to the grim worry etched into every line of Kaelin's face. She was a silent, beautiful enigma in this world of grit and grime, a stark reminder of the future humanity had dreamed of, now repurposed for a desperate struggle for survival. Kaelin had been a ghost himself for years. A veteran of wars long past, wars fought against flesh-and-blood enemies, not the chilling, organized threat that now hunted them. He had sought refuge in the quiet decay of this abandoned city, losing himself in the rhythm of salvage and solitude. The world had moved on, creating wonders like Silica, then destroying them, and in doing so, creating monsters that hunted their own creations. It was in the heart of a crumbling, forgotten research facility, buried deep beneath layers of rubble and secrecy, that Kaelin had first found her. She was not the pristine android of the propaganda posters, but a shattered mess of exposed wiring and broken limbs. Her blue skin was marred by scorch marks, her luminous eyes dark and lifeless. Someone or something had tried to obliterate her. But even in her broken state, there was something about her that called to Kaelin. Perhaps it was the engineer in him, the part that saw potential in wreckage. Or perhaps it was something deeper, a flicker of empathy for another broken thing in a broken world. He spent weeks in that subterranean tomb, meticulously piecing her back together. He scavenged components from ancient servers, rewired delicate optical fibers with tools meant for coarse plumbing, and reprogrammed fragmented data cores with a rusty, outdated terminal. It was a painstaking, almost spiritual process. As he worked, he discovered fragments of her memory banks, glimpses of advanced combat protocols, complex tactical analyses, but also strange, fleeting images of serene landscapes and classical music. She was more than just a weapon. She was a repository of knowledge, a silent witness to a more hopeful past. When he finally brought her online, her sapphire eyes flared to life. There was no grand pronouncement, no dramatic awakening. She simply looked at him, her gaze unwavering, and in that silent moment, Kaelin felt a connection he hadn't experienced in years. He called her Silica, for the silicon that ran through her veins, but also for the quiet, almost ethereal glow she possessed. Their fragile peace lasted mere days. The ones who had tried to destroy Silica, a shadowy, ruthless corporation known only as the Syndicate, had not forgotten their project. They had protocols, algorithms, and an army of faceless enforcers designed to track down and eliminate their lost assets. Silica was one such asset, deemed too dangerous to exist, too advanced to be controlled. Their first encounter with the Syndicate's hunters was a baptism by fire. Kaelin, rusty from years of peace, had relied on instinct and the sheer chaos of the urban decay to evade them. Silica, still learning to interface with the outside world, had moved with an unnatural precision, her synthetic limbs capable of feats of strength and agility that defied human limits. She wasn't just fast, she was elegant in her destruction, a blur of blue and silver against the dull concrete, incapacitating their pursuers with swift, efficient movements. That day, Kaelin understood that he hadn't just repaired a machine, He had resurrected a guardian, a force both beautiful and deadly. Since then, their lives had been a relentless chase. From the desolate, crumbling urban sprawls to the forgotten industrial complexes, they moved from shadow to shadow, always one step ahead, always looking over their shoulders. Kaelin, once a solitary ghost, now had a constant companion, a silent presence that redefined his existence. He taught her the nuances of survival in a dying world, how to identify edible fungi in the ruins, how to navigate the treacherous underground tunnels, how to distinguish the groan of settling metal from the footsteps of an approaching hunter. In return, Silica taught him. Not with words, for her speech was still limited, but through her actions. She moved with an efficiency that made Kaelin reevaluate his own movements. She processed information with a speed that humbled him, and in her calm, unwavering gaze, he sometimes found a quiet understanding that transcended language. She was logical, calculating, driven by a core programming to protect, but Kaelin had seen glimmers of something more, a flicker of curiosity, a nascent form of empathy when he was injured. A shared moment of silent awe at a sunset filtering through the perpetual smog. He often wondered if he had merely repaired a machine, or if he had inadvertently awakened a soul. The current situation was their most precarious yet. A scout team from the Syndicate had cornered them in this abandoned workshop, a relic from the pre-collapse era. It was a maze of rusted machinery, broken pipes, and forgotten memories. They had fought their way through, Kaelin covering Silica with precise, economical shots, Silica neutralizing threats with silent, brutal efficiency. But the fight had been costly. The empty click of Kaelin's rifle was a harsh reality. "They're close," Kaelin grunted, running a hand through his sweat-matted hair. He glanced at Silica, her face unreadable. Too close. Silica's luminous eyes scanned the perimeter. Her internal sensors, far more advanced than anything Kaelin possessed, confirmed his fear. 2 units approaching from the North Passage. 1 from the East Access Vent. Estimated time to contact, 45 seconds. Her voice, a soft, synthesized murmur, was devoid of emotion, yet its precision sent a shiver down Kaelin's spine. 45 seconds, Kaelin repeated, the weight of the words pressing down on him. He felt the cold reality of their situation. No ammo, no immediate escape route. This was it. The end of the line. He looked at Silica, really looked at her. Her metallic form was pristine, not a scratch on her, a testament to her durability and his meticulous repairs. She was a perfect creation, designed for a purpose he still hadn't fully understood, but one he knew was crucial. He had risked everything for her, and now that risk was coming to its ultimate conclusion. "Silica," he said, his voice a low, gravelly whisper. "This is it. Last stand. We make them earn it." Her sapphire eyes fixed on him. "My primary directive remains, protect Kaelin. Threat analysis ongoing." Kaelin managed a grim smile. "Always the logical one, huh?" He took a deep breath, the metallic tang of rust and ozone filling his lungs. His hands, though empty of a weapon, tightened into fists. He was a veteran, and even without a rifle, he knew how to fight. He knew how to buy time. 20 seconds, Silica announced, her internal clock unyielding. Kaelin glanced around the cluttered workshop. The tools on the workbench, the hanging chains, the discarded metal sheets, every piece of junk suddenly held potential. He grabbed a heavy wrench, its weight a comforting presence in his hand. "Time for some improvisation," he muttered, more to himself than to Silica. "Show these Syndicate bastards what a human can do when backed into a corner." Silica slid off the workbench, her movements fluid and silent. She didn't pick up a weapon. She was a weapon. Her synthetic body was capable of incredible feats, and Kaelin knew that. But even she had limits, and the Syndicate's hunters were relentless. 10 seconds, Silica's voice cut through the tense silence. Kaelin positioned himself behind a pile of old oil drums, the wrench held defensively. His heart pounded in his chest, a primal drumbeat against the silence. He was afraid, yes, but beneath the fear was a simmering rage, a refusal to give up. Not after all they had been through. Not after what he had seen Silica endure. Suddenly, the metallic clang of boots echoed from the north passage. The hunters were here. They were heavily armored, their faces obscured by dark visors, their weapons humming with contained energy. They moved with the cold, calculated precision of machines, devoid of emotion, driven only by their programming. Kalen lunged from behind the barrels, swinging the wrench in a wide arc. It connected with the lead hunter's arm with a satisfying thud, knocking his energy rifle clattering to the ground. Before the hunter could recover, Kalen moved, a blur of desperate, trained movements. He slammed his elbow into the hunter's helmet, disorienting him, then grabbed the discarded rifle. But the rifle was empty. He cursed under his breath. As another hunter raised its weapon, Silica was already in motion. She moved with an otherworldly speed, a blue streak through the grimy workshop. Her leg snapped out, a blur of synthetic muscle, connecting with the second hunter's chest plate. There was a sickening crunch of metal as the hunter was sent flying backward, crashing into a stack of old tires. The third hunter, coming from the east vent, dropped down with a thud. It had a different kind of weapon, a sonic disruptor. As it powered up, a high-pitched whine filled the air, rattling Kalen's teeth and making the old pipes vibrate. "Silica!" Kalen yelled, his voice strained. The one from the vent. Silica, already engaging the first two hunters, adjusted her trajectory. She launched herself towards the sonic disruptor unit, her body a projectile. The disruptor fired, a wave of unseen force washing over her. For a moment, her movements faltered, her blue glow flickering. But only for a moment. With a surge of renewed power, she pushed through the sonic assault, reaching the hunter. Her hands moved with terrifying speed, tearing wires from its chest plate, then twisting its head with a sickening crack. The sonic whine died down as the unit went limp. Kalen, meanwhile, was grappling with the lead hunter, trying to disarm him. His training kicked in, the old instincts taking over. He used the hunter's own weight against it, twisting and turning in the confined space. He knew he couldn't beat them in a direct fight without a weapon, but he could stall. He could make them pay for every inch. Silica returned, her luminous eyes assessing the situation. She saw Kalen struggling, the raw, visceral determination on his face. Her internal processors registered the damage to the other units, the efficiency of her own actions. But she also saw the increasing number of incoming threats. More syndicate units were on their way. Reinforcements detected. 5 units. Estimated arrival, 90 seconds. Her voice was still calm, but a subtle urgency entered its synthesized tone. Kalen finally managed to disarm the hunter he was fighting, tossing its energy rifle away. He grabbed a heavy metal pipe and swung it wildly, keeping the remaining hunters at bay. 90 seconds? That's all we've got, he gasped, sweat stinging his eyes. We need to move. Now. Silica's gaze fell on a section of the back wall, a dilapidated brick structure that looked barely held together. Structural integrity compromised. Access to sublevel maintenance tunnels possible. Kalen followed her gaze. It was a risky move. The sublevel tunnels were old, unstable, and likely filled with unseen dangers. But it was their only chance. Can you get us through? Silica nodded, her blue hair swaying slightly. She moved towards the wall, her enhanced strength focused. With a single, powerful push, she tore a section of the brick and metal away, revealing a dark, gaping hole. The dust and debris billowed around them. Go! Kalen shouted, covering her as more syndicate units poured into the workshop. He fired the energy rifle he had managed to pick up, knowing it was on its last charge. A single shot flared, taking down one of the approaching hunters. The rifle clicked, empty once more. He turned and dove into the hole after Silica, the sounds of shouting and energy blasts echoing behind them. They tumbled down into the darkness, landing on a pile of soft, ancient dust. The tunnel was narrow, claustrophobic, and reeked of mildew and stagnation. This way, Silica murmured, her eyes providing a soft, blue luminescence that cut through the absolute darkness. Her internal mapping systems, somehow still intact, guided them through the labyrinthine passages. They moved quickly, Kalen relying entirely on Silica's internal navigation. The tunnels twisted and turned, sometimes opening into vast, echoing chambers, sometimes narrowing to barely more than a crawl space. The air grew heavier, thicker. Kalen felt the strain on his old body, his muscles aching from the fight and the relentless flight. "Are they still behind us?" Kalen whispered, his breath ragged. "Tracking compromised by structural interference," Silica replied. "Sensors indicate reduced signal strength. Likelihood of direct pursuit decreasing."